All right, what's going on, guys? Graham Giason Matthews back here. We got an exclusive interview here today. Joining me before we even get to the guest himself, Doc Mueller, Chris Mueller on the Twitter machine, BR_Doctor. We break down the Marvel stuff every single week. Here to join me for an exclusive, awesome audio wrestling interview here today. Chris, what's going on, man?
Oh, not too much. Happy to be here again.
And we got Phil back as well. Phil DL616 on the Twitter machine. Phil, what's going on, dude?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing great. Of Grap City fame. I forgot to mention that as well. So you can go check out his podcast as well. But today we're talking to Elliott Taylor, the man behind the music for, I was going to say Daniel Bryan, Bryan Danielson. I got to get out of the habit for an AEW and a great new theme song that premiered, I think, a month ago, almost to the day, almost a month ago from today, in September 5th, 7th, whatever it was. We were all there at All Out. We heard the tunes of Elliott Taylor at AEW All Out with the debut of Bryan Danielson in AEW. Elliot, what's going on, man? Thanks for joining us
What's
today.
up, guys? Appreciate it, man. Appreciate the love. Happy to be here.
Absolutely, man. And Chris was actually the one who made the connection because he talked to Bryan about all things AEW and his music just about a month ago, and talking to him about maybe using Final Countdown, obviously getting in touch with you to do the song. So just right off the bat, talk about how this happened, how you're doing the music for, actually, even before we get to that, I should probably start off with more of an introduction. Tell the people about yourself, your background, what you're up to and stuff you want to plug and stuff like that.
Yeah, totally, man. No, I appreciate it. Elliott Taylor, recording artist out here in Northern California, songwriter as well. Born and raised out here in Cali. And yeah, man, just been chasing the dream, living the dream my whole life here in the music game. But yeah, no, Bryan and I, we've been friends for a while now. And it's always just been, just an amazing friendship, family-like friendship with this family. I'm really tight with Bree and Nikki and Artem, and they all moved out here not too long ago to Yountville, which is a small little town out in Napa Valley, which is where we're all based up here, kind of in the hills. And yeah, man, I've been super close with them and their little kids, and watching little Birdie grow up, and some of the most amazing, genuine, loving people that I've ever met. And I've been lucky enough to become friends with them and call them family over these last, 5, 6, 7 years or so. And yeah, this whole thing came about really aggressively. I mean, it's kind of a wild story that took so much energy in such a short period of time. But it was like, I think it was on Saturday before the announcement kind of came, before his walkout. So about maybe 5 or 6 days before that pay-per-view event that happened on Sunday. And so Bryan texted me, and I'm just sitting on the couch with my girl Skylar Gray, who's recording artist and songwriter as well, who you may know. And we're just sitting there, and Bryan texted me this long message. He's like, man, I don't know how this works, but I'm making the switch. It's kind of like on the down low. Some people are talking about it, but I'm gonna do this debut at AEW, and I really want to, change the vibe up and come out banging and have something that just slaps really hard. And I have no idea how we accomplish this. This is outside of my wheelhouse of what he does. And he's like, so there's no pressure, but if we could put something together in the next couple of days, that'd be amazing. And I was super jacked up because I just love action sports in general. I love fighting sports, and I love, wrestling. I've always been a fan of it. I've watched everybody through WWE, and then, with the girls and with all the stuff that they've been through. And when I heard Bryan was like, kind of making this comeback and going down a new route for him. I mean, he's kind of been rebranding himself a little bit with this new vibe and lane that he's taken with AEW, and it's super badass and really rad. And so I was really pumped to do it, but I mean, shit, that window was close. Cause like, you have, first of all, making art, in a time frame is a different approach, because usually when you make art, you just kind of check out and you don't really set a time window or a limit on it. You just go and you vibe out and you flow in the studio until something comes. And with this, it's a short window, and then furthermore, you got to make sure everybody likes it, because it's not just your art, it's art for somebody else that's going to represent them for years. And so, I mean, there's big shoes to fill there. And obviously he was using a fucking epic song, Final Countdown, for such a long period of time. And so trying to make something that would kind of shadow on that and top it and still have that same amount of energy, but, you know, bring something more youthful, more current sounding that, you know, the kids would want to slap to in their car and bang out to in the gym and everything. And it was a tall order, but I was so honored and grateful and stoked that he reached out to me like that. And we immediately just stood up from the couch and we're like, shit, we got to get into the studio right now. And so we dove in, and we, you know, Bryan and I went back and forth on kind of what world of art and narrative he wanted to go into. And so he was sending me clips of, like, you know, the "you're gonna get your fucking head kicked in" chant that he loved. And I was like, man, how the hell are we going to work that into a song and make that work, you know, while also Flight of the Valkyries, which was something he really wanted and something that, you know, I think AEW really wanted as well. And that song, obviously, like, the world knows, it's been around forever. It's been used in a lot of like war, going to battle type movies. So it was like a perfect kind of cool thing to use, but we had to go figure out, shit, is that public domain? Can we use this? Mm-hmm. You know, do we have to clear it with anybody? And then, you know, furthermore, how do we make it sound dope in a song? And so, yeah, man, a lot of shit happened really fast. And we, you know, Holly is Skylar's real name. And we went into the studio and we spent like 3 days straight in there. I mean, like, barely sleeping, trying to put this thing together from zero. Mm-hmm. And I think it was like, we started on it Saturday night. We had a first pass by Sunday night. And I shot it off to Bryan. I texted Bryan. I know he's like an early riser. So I texted him at like 11:30 p.m. And I was like, yo, B, are you up right now? And he was like, believe it or not, I am. He's like, I usually am in bed 2 hours earlier than this, but I'm on my way to Tahoe and I'm driving late. So I'm up. And I was like, all right, bro, I got a bounce coming to you in 10 minutes. Fingers crossed that you like it. And, you know, I told him, I was like, man, you know, no stress if this isn't your vibe, if you're not feeling it. But, you know, when we were working on this thing, the lyrics just came to me out of nowhere. I'm just thinking of Bryan, like, you know, walking out, and I closing my eyes, just kind of imagining, like, putting myself in that body, in those shoes, and just like walking out to a fucking stadium that's raging, and I'm going to go to battle. And like, what, you know, who is Bryan and what does he want to represent? And what's that feeling and emotion that comes out of him when he's doing this? And this weird, like, born for greatness line just kind of came out, and it came out instantly. And we were just, you know, pacing back and forth in the studio, and those lyrics just kind of came out. And then Holly started throwing down lines and words in there. You know, I'm going to knock you down, and just kind of fighting type lyrics. And so that shit came together so organically and so beautifully. It's one of those, you know, moments where you're not really forcing it and it just happens. And when that happens in the studio, it's really beautiful and super magical. And it's usually the best shit is when it just flows out of you, you know? And so we sent him the bounce, and Bryan, like, in all caps, was like, you know, are you fucking kidding me? I love this. And we
can
were
only imagine that.
Yeah, man. I mean, we always do this thing. We always do like a car test in music. A lot of people in like, even in leaning in the hip hop world, especially, like, because you want it to hit in the car. I mean, a lot of this music is where people listen in the studio, but a lot of it is in the car. And so we got into the truck and we cranked it up and played it. And when that, you know, that little, like, we gave a little taste of that Flight of the Valkyrie in the beginning, and then ripped it right into this huge hit with the chant, and the 808s come in and the hi-hats and everything started slapping with the claps. And instantly, you know, you get this feeling in your body where you're like, yeah, this fucking hits. And I just knew Bryan was going to love it. But, you know, of course you're still paranoid. You're like, fuck, man, this is somebody else. You don't know what they're thinking. Mm-hmm. And so it all came together, and he loved it. And then at that point we dove into, you know, perfecting this thing and getting all the stems bounced and mixed and mastered, and, you know, working with our producers remotely who were down in LA Mads and Jason DeZuzio, who are like kind of in our family of production. And so they had to get their hands on it. So we were constantly like sending stems back and forth to LA, and then on the phone back and forth with them at 1 a.m. And finally we got it to a point where we're like, this is it. Like this is the fucking song. And Bryan loved it. And then we had to get like, Tony Khan and everybody at AEW to fall in love with it as well.
Mm-hmm.
So there was so many, and then negotiate a deal all before Sunday, before pay-per-view. So it was like, dude, it wrecked me after this thing happened. And on Sunday, I think I slept for like a week after that because it was just so much energy output, in such a short period of time. But
I was going to ask, where did you sample the chants from? Was that just a random file he sent, or did you go and take that from one of the old like ROH shows?
No, man. So like, we didn't want to like rip anything from anybody because like, there's so much drama involved with that shit and getting things cleared. And so we took like his chant, which obviously he sent me some YouTube videos of some chants and just clips of people in general, like some stadium clips of people like banging on walls and shit and yelling it. But nobody was going to a click, like nobody was going to a tempo, right? When they were doing that. So it was all fucking up and down on the speed. And we, when you build these tracks, like you needed to be fucking dead on for it to be consistent. And so we did gang vocals, which if you know music, like it's basically a bunch of us just standing in different places in the room, yelling those lyrics and doing like 30 takes of that and then layering it. And we stand in different sides of the room. So it kind of gives this like effect of having a stadium of people when it's just really like 3 or 4 people.
Oh, that's awesome.
And yeah, it's really dope. And so we did that. Our producers even got down in LA, Mads and Jason, they jumped on and did their levels of it. And then we just layered all this shit together and distorted it and put all these claps in. And then we put it to the grid. So it all lined up perfectly with our beat. And that was all like Skylar's genius. I mean, she's obviously like a fucking unbelievable musician, unbelievable artist, and songwriter, but she slays in the studio. I mean, her production skills are off the charts. I think she's like the only girl in the world who's produced songs for Eminem, and she's wild. So she jumped on that thing and lined it all up and made that like organic stadium chant like fit in a beat of a song, which is really difficult to do. And yeah, man, she put that all together. It was really badass.
The first time they played the song, the crowd was so loud that I didn't actually hear the chants as part of the song because there was so many other chants going on. Yeah, right. Yeah. That night in Chicago was wild. Were you at the show in Chicago by chance?
No, I wasn't out there. I wanted to be, but no, I was out here in Napa, and we had a bunch of people at the house here because Bottle Rock was going on at the same time, which is like a big festival that they hold here in Napa. And so we were stuck out here for that, but we were watching it live on TV, and it was the same thing. I mean, I was just stoked. I was sucked into it just seeing him come out. And the grin on his face was so fucking organic. Like you could just see he was genuinely so excited to be back out, and the crowd just went nuts. And obviously his yes chant was just like overshadowing everything. But when that beat dropped, I mean, people just kind of went nuts. It was so much energy and so much fun. And yeah, man, it was cool. Like I wasn't expecting this at all, but it kind of went viral on Twitter for a minute there. And people were making all these like hip hop dance memes with Bryan. And it was so fucking funny. And it was so cool and classic at the same time. But yeah, I mean, we were talking about it because, there's so much IP involved with the WWE and like, what can he do at AEW and like putting his fingers up and doing the guest chant, like, is that owned by them or what? And I think they were all still trying to figure out all that shit, like days before this was happening, while we were trying to just get this song done and get everybody on board with how to work this out for him. And so there was so much shit getting worked out behind the scenes leading up to the, like, I mean, literally the day before, and the morning of this event, this stuff was getting worked out. I think we agreed on everything and got the final wave file sent off to like the music department at AEW, I think like at like 9 a.m. day of the show. So it was like to the wire. And I think Bryan, like, you know, you can't really stop the world from wanting to do that yes chant, but he loves it all, man. So I think, you know, in these last couple of shows, I heard the crowd kind of diving in on the "you're gonna get your head kicked in," and so it's just awesome, man. I think everybody's kind of, whatever age range you're in, I think the younger kids are yelling the chant a little bit more than the older crowd. The older crowd's going with the yes chant, so it's cool, man. It's all love.
What about the opening part of the song for the Flight of the Valkyries? Was that a sample, or did you guys go in and make a new version of the opening of that song?
Dude, so that's a crazy story too that I forgot about. Yeah, so we went on, we found like the original recording, right? That's public domain. And we used that as a filler while we were building the track out and while we were going to get like, you know, just testing it demo format to see if Bryan and everybody even liked where the direction we were going. And but we didn't want to have to deal with any sort of clearances or getting anybody to sign off on it. And so we were like, fuck, I mean, Holly could have rescored that thing like with Keyscape and with all these different, you know, tools that we have at our fingertips in the studio, but to make it sound like a real symphony is something that like is really difficult to do digitally. And that's why that original recording is like, you know, so wanted, because it's live instruments in like an actual symphony. I think there was like a 60-piece group doing that at the time. And so the only person that we knew of on the fly that we could hit up was this gentleman named Rupert Williams, Gregson Williams, who is the like a famous scorer who's out of the UK, and he actually scored Aquaman for Avengers. And so we worked with him. We did the end title song for Aquaman a couple years back. I think it was in 2019. And so we hit him up and we're like, hey, bro, are you awake? And we said we need like we need a fresh recording of Flight of the Valkyries like in 48 hours. Can you pull it off from London? And he's like, yeah, of course, I got you. And so he got with his guys out there and they did a fresh recording for us and bounced it out to us. So, I mean, there was so much that was involved in this, you know, 30-second walkout that, you know, I'm glad we're talking about, but no one sees how difficult that is from behind the scenes, you know. But that's how we put that together. So even though it was such a short intro, I think it's like maybe 9-12 seconds, that intro. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we had to go across the pond to get that done.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy, man.
Oh, now one of the things I was curious about was, do you foresee yourself doing any other wrestling entrance themes, or was this kind of a one-time favor for Bryan?
You know, it was crazy. I got hit up from a bunch of different people, and you know, obviously a lot of fans saying like wanting me to do other wrestlers walkouts. But for me, I mean, this was like that. I've never like thought of that as a career choice by any means. I mean, I definitely am very focused on like my art and what I'm putting out as a solo artist. That's sure. Definitely like my priority. But this like with Bryan is like, if he ever needs more versions or new things, I mean, I'll work with him forever, man. He's family with me. He's like a brother. And so I'll always do that and always be here for him and support him in anywhere he goes in the world, whether it be AEW or anywhere else. But as far as other wrestlers, I probably not. I think it'll only be Bryan. You know, stick with the squad and support him. I mean, other fighters in different worlds of fight, like UFC and stuff, for sure. I mean, I would love for other people and boxers in different sports to use this stuff. I mean, I definitely think this song, it's super worldly at the same time. And I think, you know, it's exclusive with AEW for a year. So they're the only ones that can use this. As far as like other sporting, outlets or the NBA or anywhere else, they can't use it for this first year. But I think after that opens up, I think it'll be beneficial for me, for AEW, for Bryan, for that song to be used elsewhere. And I think it'll get synced up with, it's kind of like, I kind of had this thought when I was making it of, kind of like our generation's "We Will Rock You," which is like, all the kids when you're in high school, that's like what everybody wanted as basketball walkout songs or football walkout songs, like that "We Will Rock You" song. And I see that kind of happening with this one long term. I feel like it'll get used all over the place with sports teams and shit. But, we only had time to make this like 1 minute long walkout version. And so right now we're working on a full length single that's going to have full verses and everything that we hope to drop here in the next couple of months, man, which I'm super stoked about, which obviously I'll keep you guys in the loop, and I'm sure Bryan will keep everybody in the loop as well when that comes up and gets finished. But I'm really, really, really pumped on that. And the fans have been asking for it as well. I think everybody's pissed this is only 1 minute. And so there's like, there's like 200 YouTube videos where kids are looping it for an hour.
Oh, and, I saw that.
Yep.
Yeah, it's everywhere. And, if it was any other situation, like I think, I'm with UMPG Universal. So they would be taking all those videos down, obviously. But I told them, I was like, dude, this is all love. And it only helps Bryan and only helps get the word out on him and AEW and help support them as they're growing. And so I was like, just let everybody keep it up and let them go for it. It's all good. So
that's cool.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
That's so funny you say that. Yeah, I think we were at the show, like Chris said, we were all at the show, all three of us. And I was sitting with my girlfriend up in like the 200s or whatever it was. He comes out. We don't even hear the song because it's so loud in there. And I don't really hear the song until like the next morning when he tweeted. Yeah. I know for a fact when I don't even know if I heard the Ride of the Valkyries part. It was so loud in there. But I saw on Twitter afterwards that it wasn't Final Countdown when people were talking about it. So I'm curious, like, all right, what did he come out to? So I listened to the song, loved it. My girlfriend and I listened to it the next day. Probably like a day later, she comes to me and she goes, dude, this song fucking kills. Like she was listening to it on Spotify, like on repeat while she was at the gym. And now it's like one of her most listened to songs on Spotify. And she goes, the only thing I don't like about it, it's like a minute long. I'm like,
yeah, dude.
So it's what you just said. So
dude, that makes me so happy. I love hearing that, man. And the love on it's been, like controversy is always like amazing, right? Mm-hmm. You're not, if everybody loves you, you're probably like not a lot of people are probably listening to your music or watching your movies or whatever it may be in the arena that you're in. So you always want controversy, you want haters, and you want people talking shit and like kind of like stirring up the pot a little bit. And but like this got so much positive love and in a way that helped promote it even more than a bunch of hate would. And so, I think a lot of people probably missed the Final Countdown as the walkout, but Bryan, like, dude, he's got the new look, the new haircut. He's jacked as fuck right now. He's got this whole new vibe about him. He's got this new energy about him, man. I really feel like this is the time that he's going to take off. I have a feeling that he's just going to blast into another level of dimension with his whole career and everything that he's doing right now. So it just felt so right for him to get something fresh and new. And I got so many people hitting me up similar to your lady talking about it in the same way. And so many people in the gym and banging out to this thing. So dude, we'll get a full length version soon, man. I'm talking with a few different rappers for it, man, because I really feel like it deserves some bars. And so I don't know who yet, but dude, there's a few people that we've been reaching out to and we'll see who kind of loves it enough to want to jump on it and work with us on this one. And either way, it's going to hit hard, the next version for sure.
Oh, I know nothing about current hip hop or rap music, but I see Phil talking about it online a lot.
Over here, throw the ball over here.
Let's go. Yo, Phil, who do you want on this, man? Who do you see?
Well, I mean, that was kind of my question. Because when you think Bryan Danielson, you don't necessarily think hip hop. So I was just wondering, like, how do you marry those two worlds?
Dude, man, it's tough, right? I was talking with Bryan about it, and he's just like, like Bryan's definitely, he's definitely like, his I can't even remember the rappers that he mentioned to me. They're so throwback and old school, and I've got this like group chat going with like Nikki, Bree, and Bryan and everybody on this group chat, and they're like, no, Bryan, we can't use those rappers. and so he's like, all right, man, just make sure it hits, and I trust you, Elliot, you got this. And so for me, man, I could hear a lot of people on it, like I've been loving Jack Harlow. I love Logic's voice. There's a lot of people that I could hear on this thing, but I think for me, I really am about the energy behind the art. And like, I would rather have somebody that's maybe more up and coming or a little less known, or has lower streaming numbers. Like, I'm not about trying to get the biggest name in the world on this. Like, obviously it'd be fucking incredible to have somebody like Snoop Dogg or Drake or somebody huge on this thing. But for me, it's more about having somebody who, like, loves wrestling, loves the fight sports, the action show business sports, and also loves this song and feels connected to it and feels like this is something they want to get behind and promote. And I mean, we're fucking definitely doing a music video for this, and Bryan's going to be in it for sure. Mm-hmm. And so it's got to be somebody that's down for all of that, and that really loves this and feels like, holy shit, this hits, and I want to stop everything I'm doing right now and go lay down these bars. And so that's really what I'm looking for this. So I'm kind of sharing it around to, like, my contacts and people from UMPG, and obviously, like, Skylar has some incredible rap contacts as well. So we're sharing it around, and just at this point, just seeing who's like, oh fuck, this hits, I want in. And then that's who we're going to work with on this. So, but I'd be curious to hear who you think, or who the fans feel, would be the fit as well, man. I'm all about collaborating on this. It's such, this type of a song is such a collaborative thing, because I think, there's so many people involved in it that represented at this point, from our side to Bryan's side to AEW to wrestling fans in general. So yeah, man, we'll leave this open to collaborations from an input from everybody to make this thing as cool and as rad as it can be,
Yeah, I kind of think like Action Bronson or like Wale or somebody like that would sound dope on it.
Oh, rad, for sure. For sure, man.
Like, I mean, like I even feel like I can see Action Bronson and Bryan Danielson in the same room. Like, I could see them like just hanging out and talking about like random weird food stuff.
Remember that show he had on Vice?
Yes.
Where he would just get stoned with his friends and watch TV or whatever it was. That would have been weird to see Bryan on that.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
The only rapper that I personally know who's a huge wrestling guy too is Megaron.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, yeah, Megaron.
Really? Yeah. He might be somebody to reach out to, because he's constantly recording stuff, and he's like one of the biggest wrestling marks I know online.
No shit, dude. I didn't know that. That's really helpful, man. I appreciate that. I'll hit him up for sure.
That's awesome.
He would probably be stoked to work on something like this. But yeah, geez, I don't know. Have you gotten any like interest yet from people being like, yeah, let's work on this?
You know what, man? We just like where I've been the last couple of weeks. I mean, this thing came out like, I think like what you guys said, maybe 3-4 weeks ago to the day or something. And so since then, I've been working with my team and making the full length version without verses on it, like just making the track itself as turnkey and ready to go, and really taking our time now and not being rushed and making sure the track is fucking fire. And so that's what we've been doing these last couple of weeks. And I've literally been just sending this out through my team in the last 48 hours. So we're about to get some ears on it and get some responses here in the next couple of weeks for sure. So excited, awesome. Man. Yeah.
So one thing I wanted to talk to you about before we wrap up was I was going through your YouTube channel a little bit, just listening to some of your music, and I love the fact that you covered the Sixpence None the Richer song "Kiss Me."
Dude,
I can't tell you how many movies that song was in from, like, what was it, 96 to 2000, about when that song was really big.
Yeah, man.
And when I saw that, I'm like, is this the same song? And then I got like a few seconds into it, I'm like, holy shit, he re-recorded the song.
Oh, dude. Yeah. I mean, bro, for some reason that song comes on and it's so fucking nostalgic for me. And nostalgia is like just such a wild drug. Like when anything nostalgic happens to you, you just get sucked. Like, you know, whatever, you smell something or drink something that reminds you of like your childhood, it just hits you so hard. For some, I've just always loved that song. And I've always been like, damn, it's like, you know, this female artist like singing this song, and no dudes really ever that I've seen ever done a cover of it. And, you know, and kind of like, I kind of did this like down tempo hip hop type beat on there. And I've just always loved that song. And so I wanted to do a cover of it, man. And and that's what happened there. It was just kind of like a personal thing I wanted to always do. And I just was like, let's do it. It feels right.
That's awesome.
I'm glad you found that one though, bro. That's rad.
I think that was on the Clueless soundtrack. So whenever I hear it, all I can think about is Alicia Silverstone, because it's like that song was in so many of those romantic comedies back then. Like it almost got overplayed to the point where people turned against it. Like
for sure.
That happens to a lot of songs, you know, like
yeah.
I mean, look, that pretty much happened to Creed after every song they made, and now they're like one of now they're one of the bands people joke about. But like,
yeah, dude,
yeah, that was one of those huge hits that was everywhere for a few years. You couldn't escape it. It was like, dude, you walk into a Target and it was playing.
Oh yeah, man. And you still hear that thing come out, you know. And I mean, obviously they did it in Clueless and that new movie. But yeah, man, you still hear that. Dude, a lot of the throwback songs have been coming back. A lot of people are doing covers, and that's kind of like a lane people are taking in music right now. But I'm so stoked you did a deep dive on me in there and found that little gem.
Well, yeah, you know, you got to research your subjects and
hell yeah, dude.
Figure out what's going on.
For sure, man, for sure. Yeah.
But hey, man, it was really great talking to you. This was a lot of fun. We gotta do a Venom review at some point and have you back to talk about that movie.
For sure.
We talk about like Marvel stuff every week, whatever the new TV show or movie is that comes out that week. So whenever we get around to doing Venom, I'll hit you up.
Hey, bro, I'll set that up with Skylar and get you guys set up with her, and you guys shout it out with her. That would make the most sense because she's the brains behind that song. That was her baby.
I was going to ask two real quick questions before we wrap up here. On regards, you know, you mentioned Skylar. Is this the same Skylar Grey that I'm thinking of that partook in the song? I mean, this is like WrestleMania, like 31. This is like 5 or 6 years ago. She did that song "Rise" with David. I forgot his name. Something like that.
Guetta. Yeah.
That's her?
The same Skylar Grey. Yeah.
That is fucking sick. Okay. I didn't know because when Chris had mentioned, and we were talking over DMs about this a couple of weeks ago when we were setting this up. And when you just mentioned them, I'm like, why does that name sound familiar? And I'm going through my phone right now with all the songs that I have with her on it. I'm like, holy shit, that's hilarious. I didn't know that was the same. Dude. That's great.
Yeah, no, she when we were working on this, I was just laughing because I was like, babe, how many things have you done in like the wrestling world? And I think she's like performed at like 3 WrestleManias. I think she did.
I was gonna say,
yeah, she was there once with like MGK, and Travis Barker and some other cats. And
was she there when he got powerbombed through the table?
I'm not sure, but I bet it was that same time. It was like when The Rock and Cena and everybody were you know. Yeah.
28. I know. I guess she was there for that, and then she was there for 31 because like they did the Rise song in the middle of the Mania, and it was like, it's funny too because with wrestling fans and music, it's so fucking weird. Like whenever a musician or something is on the show, they get booed or like they don't want to see it. They want to see matches. Like they just fucking accept it, especially if it's a good song. They just deal with it. But like when during at least WrestleMania 31, I remember like people were enjoying it because it was a great song. Like I remember, like I still listen to that song all the time. So that's hilarious.
Oh no, dude, it's rad. And I mean, obviously the dream with me and Bryan on this, I definitely want to perform this song live at AEW for sure.
Has to happen.
Yeah, dude. And once we get the right rapper on this, I think we'll.
Elliot, did you cut out?
Oh, did we lose Elliot?
Did I lose you guys?
Oh, there we go.
There you are.
Oh, there you are. Where'd I cut out?
You said get the right rapper and then it cut out.
Oh yeah, no, I was just saying once we get, the full single dropped and released and everything and the video with Bryan, we'll set it up, man. I want to perform this thing live at AEW for sure. Oh. And I think it'll hit. It'll be a good time.
Oh, that'll be awesome. Yeah, it's going to be great.
Yeah.
Live performances of entrance music always enhance the entrance to me.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Like when they had Lee England playing the violin for Shinsuke at a couple of events, like that made his entrance so awesome. So that would be really cool if they got you on stage performing this song as Bryan was coming out for a match.
I think you'd be only like the second person to do it because I think Downstate did Cody about a year ago at Revolution or whatever.
And then Lucha Bros had Mikey Ruckus, who does a lot of the AEW stuff. And then who else was up there with Mikey? I don't remember.
There? Uh-oh. Did I lose you guys again?
No, there we got you.
Oh, no, there you are.
Yeah.
No, I was just saying, man, like when we do this live, I'm going to go crazy. I'm going to take my shirt off and kick somebody in the face for sure. I can't let Bryan have all the fun, man.
Oh, that's
gotta
awesome.
hire some plants so you can just kick him in the head as soon as that part of the lyric comes up.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, did we lose you again, Elliot?
Yeah, I don't know why it's cutting out a little bit for some
reason.
reason.
Oh, we got you.
I got one last question. A good spot to wrap up anyway. But go ahead, Graham.
One last question, completely random, but to go all the way back to the beginning of this thing, when you mentioned how you kind of met Bryan, like the Napa Valley area, they moved there a couple of years back and whatnot. You said you've known him for what, like 5, 6, 7 years at this point, Elliot?
Man, yeah. If I had to guess, it was like I think I met the girls. I met the Bellas back in like 2015, sometime in that area. Yeah.
So with that being said, I've watched the show. Don't ask me why, but have we seen you on an episode of Total Bellas before? Have I seen you on there and just didn't know it was you?
You know what? I never like officially went on that show, but I definitely was. I think I was in some moments. I was, I was in some moments organically or something, But yeah, man. Yeah.
It made a couple of cameos. Okay, awesome. Yeah, I got to go back and like rewatch and like, all right, where did I see him? I've seen every episode of like the Total Divas, Total Bellas, all those type of shows. I don't know why.
Dude, that show's so great. Those girls are amazing. I love those girls. Yeah.
That's funny. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we saw you there, I'm sure, at some point in a background cameo. We've heard your song every week on AEW Dynamite. It sounded like for a couple of episodes of Dynamite there, they were just doing the instrumental version. I don't know. Can you elaborate on that? And only recently doing lyrical.
No, I think like in the beginning, this was such a big creative switch from the Final Countdown. And I think Tony and AEW and kind of the creative department over there, they're like, look, let's just start with like the track version and just introduce it to the fans, see what the reaction's like. And then instantly, obviously people loved it. And then they started to use the vocal version as well. And so that's kind of how that worked out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I was gonna say I don't know if it was just me going like crazy and thinking, are the lyrics there? I'm just not hearing them, or like.
No, I know a bunch of people when the song came out online, like the same night, they're like, "Fuck, I couldn't even hear these lyrics. Like, why weren't these louder?" And that's when AEW was like, "All right, let's put it in." So so we ended up rolling with that version afterwards, which was awesome. I'm sure though,
for the chant are so subtle that like the crowd in the arena like almost melds in with it.
Oh yeah, dude, it's crazy. It's like it almost blends perfectly,
to the point where I could see the song definitely getting that chant started for Bryan as soon as he comes to the ring.
Mhm.
Hopefully, a PG version of the chant for when they're on TV, but
yeah. I mean, we took out, we made it PG for that walkout version, obviously, but I think the full length version with, with the rappers on it and stuff, I think that we'll bring it back in. We'll have both for sure.
Awesome.
That's awesome. Well, as we let you go, Elliot, obviously people can check out the song every week on Dynamite, obviously, but online people can check it out at smarturl.it/et. Born for Greatness. You're also you got your own website, Elliott Taylor Taylor. I'm botching here. I apologize. Elliott-Taylor.com. And you're also on Instagram, Elliot_Taylor as well. Like I said,
Elliot with 2 T's.
With 2 T's.
Yeah,
yes.
2 L's, 2 T's, man. Double trouble.
like Double J, Jeff Jarrett.
That's what I was thinking of too. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Well, this has been awesome, man. Thanks so much for joining us. And it was literally like 3 or 4 days ago. I was on my way to a wrestling show with my girlfriend, and she is so obsessed with the song. She was just literally jamming out to it in her car. So going back to what you were saying earlier, it's got to have that car sound. It definitely fucking does. I can tell you that
for sure,
fact,
dude.
so.
I appreciate that, dude, man. Thank you guys. And dude, when I get out to one of these events, man, we should all link up. Have some drinks, bro. For sure.
Oh yeah. Hey man, if you're ever in Chicago, let me know.
I love chai, man. I love Chai Town. I will.
Fantastic. Well, thanks a lot, Elliot. We appreciate it.
Hey, appreciate you guys, man. Much love. Very grateful.
Thanks, man. Have a great one.
All right, man. You too. Cheers.